Welcome to the Head Research Hub. The Head Research Hub is a non-profit organization founded in 2021 committed to creating an inspiring and motivating atmosphere for young graduate students and young researchers in developing countries. We have different programs, including the Research and Training Program, the Mentorship Program, the Career Readiness Program, and the Community Outreach. We have organized different webinars from our Research and Training Program and Mentorship Program, where we help mentor and educate young graduate students from developing countries on how they can effectively apply for the graduate admission and scholarship, and as well prepare them for the challenges lying ahead in their graduate studies. And also, we have organized different programs, and the unique one is the mentorship program advertised this year, where we admitted different young graduate students from different countries by our seasoned mentors. And also every week we upload different scholarship updates from different funding agencies to keep our young graduate students and our subscribers updated of the opportunities. Are you ready to go on this journey? Remember, tomorrow starts now. You can contact us as an institution, as an individual, or as a community through our website or through the organization email that is displayed on our website, and we will respond to you shortly. Thank you.
For today, I'm tempted to say tonight because it's late here already. I'm Emmanuel Makinde. You're welcome to this webinar. Like I said earlier, I'm a doctoral researcher at the Griffith Institute for Drug Discovery here in Queensland, Australia. And so for this webinar, for this event today, I'll be moderating. And on behalf of the Ed Research Hub, we're happy to have you here. We say welcome to every one of you. And so without wasting time, let's get into it. Well, I would like to first apologize on behalf of our speaker, whom we advertised that speaker earlier. If you have seen our posters and all that, but unfortunately she would not be with us today due to some unforeseen circumstances. But don't worry, we are a very capable team, and we have someone who is equally capable. In fact, we have two who are very capable today, and I can assure you they are well published. They know what they are talking about, and they are qualified international researcher. And first, if I would have the slide for Dr. Iola Wolabi, and she will be the first speaker for today. And Dr. Iola, she's currently a postdoctoral research fellow at the School of Food Science and Technology at Thammasat University. But before she takes over, I would like us to just do us a favor in the chat. Just let's know a little bit about you, introduce yourself, then tell us your research affiliation, your affiliation and your research field. It'll be interesting to know that about you, and that will also guide us, during the course of this webinar also, especially when we have to respond to your questions. So without wasting much of our time, I'm going to yield the floor to the next person. I want you to get your pen, your notepads and everything. Trust that you're going to learn a lot today. So over to you, Dr. Iola Wolabi.
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me? Yeah.
Yes, you're good.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good morning, good evening, wherever you may be. So this time, as our host said, we sincerely apologize for our guest speaker not being able to come be here today, but trust me, you are going to learn a lot of things, and just put your mind to it and be rest assured that you are in savings. So today, on my own part, I'll just be talking about developing your research writing skill, just like the basis before my colleague, Dr. Anujait, takes the other part. So for the first one, we'll be discussing about different things that I wouldn't want to repeat what my colleague will say. I'll just brush up with some things that we need to remember. And I think majorly I will take us through some practical aspect of it, and so that we can be able to have like a first-hand experience of what it looks like. So at first, I would just say that before we start writing our research papers, there are two things. It's either we already have them developed at a topic. I said here the title or the topic. When we have a research paper, there are two things. We already have them, the topic already developed. Maybe you are so lucky that your advisor or you have an idea of what you'll be working on before. Or the second option is you have to search and to develop your title or your topic of research article. So when you have this, at this point, I would like to say that we have two types of research article publication, or research article. The first one is the original research paper. We are used to that. The original research paper are those ones that we produce based on our experimental works, our research in our laboratories, or through collection of data, questionnaires. And the second one is the review articles, reviewing what some other people have done before, reviewing their works and writing them in your own words to make a publication. So I would say that when we have this topic already, either to make an original research paper or the review article, the next one that I would normally do is to find a suitable journal. So it may be the other way around for so many people, because while I was just writing my manuscripts during the stage that I began writing manuscripts, I prefer to finish writing my manuscript, then I will start thinking about where to publish my research paper. So I think with time we develop ourselves because we want to write in focus of the journal to publishing. And this one, I would suggest that before writing a journal article, because there are several advantages, we better find the appropriate journal, suitable journal to publish our manuscript. One, so that it will aid our writing, it will help us to write along the scope of this journal. So this is an example. I'm going to use a journal finder from Elsevier, and we have different journal finders. I think we also have for Springer or other publishers. I'm just using the journal finder for Elsevier because that's what I use most times. So I will just go to this link. Can you see the other screen? If you can't see, okay, so I'll just stop sharing this first. Okay. I think we can see it now, right? Good. So when you click, you just click, you can use that link, or you use the journal finder Elsevier. And I'm using Elsevier again because from this webinar, we're encouraging ourselves to be to publish in international journal. And I'm just going to type something here. So looking at this, maybe you have an abstract already developed, but if we don't have an abstract, it's okay. Just copy and paste your topic again. I'm not encouraging us to be lazy. So, and you click on journals to find. Okay, let's say we had more word, would have gotten more than one journal. So it's suggesting Journal of Nutritional Biochemistry, and we can see the details of the journal. We can see the time publication. I think we can also see so many information with journal, go to the website, see if they publish for free, if they have free article publication charges. And you can see here, this doesn't have, it has definitely publication charges. So these are just one of those ways when you are starting to write your manuscript or your research articles, you can find in the first step where exactly you are going to publish your research paper. So I'm going to stop this slide, this one, and go to the PowerPoint slide. All right. So when you, let's say we know where we are going to publish our research paper, then I feel comfortable. I'll be saying hi because I'm not a professional, but I'll be sharing from my experience what I do and what has worked for me. And I go into my writing to the submission. So, but I'm going to break this down before we just rush through. And so this is just like motivating us. Are you tired of writing research paper, or you don't know where to start? And just roll along. And if you have any question, we still have the time for the question and answer, where the panelists will be ready to answer our questions. So going into this, we have different research papers. Again, we have research proposals. The research proposal is what you write before you undertake your project, maybe in your graduate studies. We have research thesis is what you write after, when you're about graduating, or when you are done writing and doing your experimental work for your degree. Then we have original research articles, we have review articles. For the scope of this training, we will be emphasizing on original research articles and review article, as I said. So for the breakdown of this, we have talked about the title development, then we've talked about the journal determination. The next one I'll be talking about is the review of literature and assessing restricted articles online. I know especially those of us that come from African countries, I can say for this, that the major challenges for publishing article, for writing research paper could be that we are not, we can't access as much as possible the journal articles, manuscript that can help to increase the quality of our work. So we're going to touch on that, the article structure, the importance of grant acknowledgement, the different reference styles and softwares we have, and so on. So the title or the topic. I told us we have the original research paper, the review article, the proposed journal, we have it already. And the next thing, we are going to look for the instructions for authors, because as much as we need to publish and we need to write by ourselves, we also need to follow the instructions of the journal so that our paper will be accepted. And we have talked about this. Okay, so this one, I just said that I will show us an example of original research paper we have for us to just have a glimpse and the differences of them, the original research paper and the review article. So again, I'm going to share this. So we can see this is one of our papers, and it's an original research article because this was produced as a result of my experimental work during my PhD degree. So we see the title, the topic is talking about the results from some of the samples that we used. And one of the key elements that I will be showing you is, it has an introduction similar to the review article that we'll be having. However, most research articles they have the attribute of the materials and methods section, where you discuss how you carried out your research work, and you move to the results and discussion. Just to say this, that some journals, they may differentiate between the results and discussion. They may prefer you writing the results separately and the discussion, but overall, most of research articles contain this element: the introduction, the materials and method, the results, and the discussion. All right, we move to the next one. For the review article, it looks like this. I'm going to show us again. So for the review article, this is one of the my long time paper, and you can see that it also has the introduction similar to the original research paper. However, it's more or less, after the introduction, it's more or less like a literature review talking about elicitation as displayed in the topic, going to different things, going in-depth discussion based on what some people have previously worked on before. And of course, it ends with acknowledgement or something like that. So this one doesn't have research methodology or materials and method or something. It may have results and discussion, but majorly the review articles, they follow this pattern. So we go back to the PowerPoint slide, and okay. So we talked about the suitable journal determination and already. We just keep this. And about review of lots of publications there. This is the website of Science Direct, and you'll see a lot of journal publications. In order to help you to make your work faster, you can just type keywords of what you are looking for. Let's say nutrition. You can just search for it, and it's going to give you a lot of papers where you can download and access several papers to help you in writing your research paper. And the next one, we go to like that you need to follow, or else your journals, your paper may be bounced. This is about this. You just go about to this, and guide for authors, for example. And when you get this, you should be able to see the types of paper they want, the submission checklist. Here also, you'll be able to see the kind of references, the reference formats, the numbers of figures, the number of words for abstract, number of words for manuscript, or number of pages, and so many informations you can get there. And also, another thing I would like to talk about the script structure. I said the last time that we have the original and the review article, and I said I would say that most are divided into these and these and these, as I've earlier stated. And for the review article, I would say that it mostly depends on the author's decision. So it depends on how creative you are, what you intend to write on, and how much knowledge you can extract from other people's work. So talking about the writing of manuscripts, it's really, really important to have your plagiarism check. If you do some manuscript or some journals, they put the limit to 50%, 50% plagiarism, or how will I put it? 50%, some will put it at 25. No, some will put it at 5%, some will put it at 10. So it's also important to check the guide for authors or the author's instruction for authors to be able to see this. We have different plagiarism software that we can use depending on your institution or the one you subscribe to. We have the Turnitin. Turnitin is mostly accessible through your institution. We have this the Scriber, we have the Grammarly, we have the Authenticate, we have the Unicheck, we have the Plate Scan. We have all of them that you can access, but I think most of them you need to pay, or you need to access through your institution, or you need to subscribe to them. Most of them are not free, but maybe if you have any question regarding this, you can raise it during the interactive session. And the references style, for the references style, we need to write our references according to how the journal, the publisher or the journal has specified. And we have different references styles. We have the APA format, we have the Nature style, we have the Vancouver, we have all of them. But to make your work easier, we have so many software that you can use, download on your laptop, and you can use them in order to help aid you to make your work more structured and to make it less stressful while writing. During those days, after my bachelor's, I do copy and paste references to different Word documents, copy and paste. And after writing, I'll start editing them one by one to be able to make them suitable to the journal specification. But I think time we have advanced past that, and we have different EndNote is there. We have Mendeley, Zotero, Cite This For Me, etc., depending on your choice. For me, I use EndNote. So this is an example. I wouldn't want to go through that because I don't want to get to take much time. But if you would like me to show you an example how to reference using EndNote, you can ask during the question and answer, and I can come back to this slide. Okay. Also, depending on but I think it's everywhere globally, but depending on your institution, grant acknowledgement or funding declaration, it's also very important in your research paper. For us who got scholarship, or for us who have received scholarship in our institution, they would say that you should state that this work was supported by this university with your scholarship number, the grant funding number. You need to put it there, and it's maybe a criteria in your institution that though you published this article, right, but you did not acknowledge your institution, and that will not count for your graduation. You need to confirm about this, and you need to be aware about this. So I'm going to show you an example of this right now, what it looks like for the grant acknowledgement. And so for the grant acknowledgement, you can see this paper. That's okay. We just go to the last slide. Okay, you can see this. See here. Should be somewhere there. Okay, good. If you can see this slide and this page, you can see that the author, we received funding from this university and the grant number was stated. Can you see this particular page of this manuscript? So the grant number was stated, the institution was stated, and it was stated that they have received funding. So this is what it looks like when you're including grant acknowledgements in your paper. So another important factor, another important point rather, is the fact that you have prepared your research paper, you went through the instruction for authors, you prepared your manuscript according to the scope of the journal, you have written without plagiarism, you have followed the right references style, you use appropriate good software, you have put so much time and energy into it. Doesn't mean that every time your paper will be accepted. So before that, before you publish your paper or send it for publication, it is really important that you send it to, you can send it to a friend, or if you have your supervisor, send it to them for adequate proofreading and vetting. Trust me, sometimes after writing my research paper, I see them very okay, good quality to be published right away. But if I give it to someone else to vet for me, I'll be so surprised the kind of mistakes, omissions that I've made. So your article will always look good to you. But by the time you've given it to someone else, it will really be good to see that you need to improve on some points. And also, you go to write to submission after vetting and proofreading. And I would like to say this at this point, that the fact that you have written your paper doesn't mean every time it may get accepted. Sometimes it gets rejected. Sometimes it gets rejected once, twice, thrice. It doesn't mean we should give up. After writing, we need to submit. And when it's bounced back or when it's been rejected, we should try to improve based on what the reviewers comment, improve your manuscript, dust it again, pick up yourself, submit to another journal. And I will always say, so far you have done a quality work, there will always be a journal to publish your research paper. So thank you for this. I will just I will stop right here and allow Dr. Anuji to take over from here. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you very much, Doctor, for allowing me to speak. And I'm really thankful to Ed Research for giving me this platform to share my ideas and able to meet all these guys over here. So, the talk was very interesting. I hope everyone will agree with me, because that is the very fundamental about what is research, like what type of articles are there, how to find the right journal, and then the actual thing starts, all the structuring, then arranging the reference. And especially when she was talking about the referencing, arranging the referencing, it was like, I just remember my old days. I'm pretty old. You can search me out. So I have quite an experience in publishing articles, and I have my experience as a assistant professor, as well as I have my experience in different international platforms for working as a postdoc. So, referencing is a big deal. So you guys have to take care of that. So all the softwares which were mentioned by her, you should note it down somewhere and try to read about it. Because writing an article or publishing an article is a systematic process. It will take time. It will take a lot of preparations. And I'm very sure you guys can do it very well. So now, the main topic of this particular presentation on this particular webinar is how to publish the research in high impact factor journals. So this is a scale through which we are judging a journal. If the impact factor is high, then we say the journal is very good, and if the impact factor is low, generally we say that the general is not that good, right? So we always have to look into it, okay? Have some ideas about what type of journal you are talking about, what type of journal you are planning for. Because before, even if you start thinking about that, how to publish high impact factor journals, first of all, you have to find a target journal, Okay, that's the foremost, plan. The beginning of your thought process should start from there, that what type of journal are you targeting, okay, and where you want to publish it. Okay, now before you want to publish something, the very fundamental ideas, very fundamental things which you have to, you know uh, think about is reading about it. Okay, you always have to read about the journal, what type of research they are publishing, okay, and what are the research backgrounds they are handling. They are very important and very fundamental. And then the writing part, and then the structuring, how to package the whole outcome, how to package all the investigation which you have done. That's very important, because if you don't arrange them properly, no journal like high impact factor or low impact factor, none of the journals will accept that. But remember always that impact factor is not the sole criteria. Depending upon the general type, what type of research it is publishing, the impact factor can be low or high. So always look for Q1 or Q2 or Q3. These are different criteria through which any journal is targeted, any journal is categorized. Okay, so now whenever you're trying to publish an article in a high impact factor uh, journal, you always have to think about what new or what is the innovative part which you are introducing. Okay, the work or the idea or the research thought put which you are going to present, that should be innovative. There should be something new or something additional which increases the value of the information which is already available over there. Okay, that's very important. Okay, so how do you know that the topic of research which you are going to publish or going to write or going to work on is innovative, or it is interesting, or it is required by the readers, or that will be followed through the readers? You have to make your network. Okay, you have to have your general alerts, read about those topics, study the articles, and try to understand what are the research gaps or what are the research topics which the peoples or different researchers are talking about. That's very important, because until you do that, until you find the exact target area of work, because see, research is a very big area, and especially when you want to target a particular journal which I showed just before, and I will discuss a small part about it like at the last. You always have to plan accordingly, that the idea of the research, idea of the topic which you are going to play, it should not be copied. It should be very original, recent, innovative art topic. If it is not, the journals will have hard time. They will give a lot of hard time to accept. Okay. So once when you are able to find out your target area, because see, it is a very, so this is an idea of you, say it's a very big research area, but in that research area you have to figure out a small area, small part on which you want to talk about, on which you want to do research. Once you find that particular area, you have to figure it out, what are the standard analytical techniques which are required to verify your research work. Then you have to write it in a very ordered fashion so that the journals can accept your writing with the support of reference articles. Reference articles are very must. They will support all your work, all the the research question, as we say. So these reference articles are always important. So you have to read a lot. So remember that before publishing or publishing in a high impact factor, the fundamental is reading about the journal, reading about the research topic, and arranging the whole thing in a proper way. So as I was talking about that Q1 and Q2, always impact factor is not the only thing which you should take care of. You can always look for these things, because maybe in your area, because impact factor is all about how many citations you are having, how many journals, how many articles are published by the journals. There is a ratio, right? So but Q1 and Q2 are the actual way in which you can find out which journals are highly cited or highly reputed in their own area. Okay, so this is another important part, the writing. After reading, you will understand the research area, research topic on which you want to publish, on which area you want to work. But when you are trying to write, you have to focus on the aim of the work, which you have already, figured out, right? Now you have to focus on the aim, and you have to present it in a very well patterned way. You have to think about the audience, like what type of researchers you are targeting, whether you're targeting the policymakers, whether you're targeting the non-professional, or you're targeting some bachelor's or master's students. So the writing should be very fundamental. You do not have to use very typical or complicated English words. A simple language, a simple English language is enough. Nobody will reject you, provided your aim is innovative enough. First is that. Then your results are very constructive, or it can be negative results also, but they should give some addition to the already present information in that. Then you have to make the readers aware about that the research topic on which you are working on is very hot, or it is upcoming research because of whatever the reasons are. You have to support your research questions, research objective with the help of this already published articles. And then structuring, articulation of the material. Whole article is very important. Already it was discussed that what type of articulation we should think about. So I'm not going much into it. So that's all for today. But you guys can definitely, ask any questions. If you have any doubts which you have faced, you can collaborate with us, and you can also collaborate to us individually. Thank you.
Wow, that was very good. Thank you, Dr. Anachit. And want to appreciate everyone who has been here till this moment. And I believe you have learned a lot. And I'm sure you have questions bubbling in your mind. So we're happy to take your questions. If you want to talk directly, or if you want to type and put them in the chat. But before then, the question, we're going to take it. It's going to be a plenary session. We're going to have a panelist. If Deepa can help me to share the PowerPoint so that I introduce the panelist. So while we're doing that, it's okay, it's fine. You can just get your questions ready. I have questions also. Once you are into research, you can never know everything. Even our professors, like Dr. Anuchit said, one very crucial thing is reading. And when something has to do with reading, that means fundamentally there are still going to be some stuff you don't know. So you keep reading, you continue to read, and all that. So yeah, we're going to move into the panel plenary session now. I don't know if Deepa is there. I'm having issues sharing from my device. Just updated my Zoom.
I am here. I'm going to open up.
All right, please okay. Share that. Just so I already have some questions also, or maybe a few things that I believe when we throw them open, it would be nice. For people to know that. So if you have your questions, please keep them coming. Put them in the chat. You can send them as a direct message, or you can make it public. It's fine. Please don't be shy. We are happy to answer, and if we can answer it, we are happy to refer you to people that can provide answers also. Anyway, so it's time to meet the panelists. These are people that are very grounded and loaded. And we have the first person is Dr. Tomi Adetunji, who is into his research. She's into medicinal plants. She works at the University of Fort Harare in South Africa. And you just finished listening to Dr. Anachit, also, who works at University of Manitoba in Canada. He's a research fellow there. He's an analytical chemist. We have Dr. Ozioma Nwabo. That is a postdoctoral research fellow at Syracuse University, USA, research area, medicinal microbiology. And finally, we have someone who is at least not into sciences. So we have a very balanced, well, it's 3-1, but it's not bad because he himself is 3-in-1. So we have John Olayinka. He's a lecturer at Walalike University in Thailand. He's into management sciences. Also, we will be having our first panelist. She's happy to also help to answer questions. I'm talking about Dr. Yola Ulabi, who is a postdoctoral research fellow in food safety at Thammasat University in Thailand. She works in food safety, functional foods, and nutrition. All right. So I'm sure she's also happy to help with questions, especially if you have a question to her directly. So please, you can go ahead and raise your hand if you have any question. Before we narrow in on the panelist, I will just quickly throw this to Dr. Yola if she can help us with it. We know that referencing is always a big deal. It's crucial in research because you need to give you need to give a proper account of the things you are citing in your article. Referencing is crucial. She mentioned some softwares, and I want to. She can just go ahead and highlight for us if any of those software, if any of them is free. Is there any of those that is open access that people who are in an environment where, for example, in Nigeria, universities don't really subscribe to these stuff. I know that EndNote is not free. My university here, they gave us the access to EndNote. But if we have people who are not in that particular, who don't have access to that privilege, which one is free? Which one is free to use? Is there any? So Dr. Yola, if you are there, you can help us out with that. Questions are coming in for the panelists. Okay, please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you for that. I would just say that while I was writing my research paper back home in Nigeria, I was using Mendeley and I didn't pay for that. So I don't know if it's still free or if it's been licensed. And thank you for the suggestion. You said Zotero is free. So these are the two that I know, but among our audience, panelists, if you have, or if you know of any other plagiarism software that is free, please share. I know of Mendeley. I started writing with Mendeley and it was free, but I dropped it along the way because my institution was using Turnitin.
All right. Okay, so you can just have that as a note somewhere. Wherever you are in the world, you can download Mendeley or Zotero, and that helps you with your referencing and bibliography. All right, so we have some questions in the chat already. So I'm going to quickly read that out. And our panelists, I believe, are able to do justice to that. The first question we have here says that, can you please give insight about rejection of manuscripts? How do we undo that? And does rejection means lack of novelty? Exactly. So when our work gets rejected, what does it really mean? How do we handle it? Does it mean a lack of novelty? I'm going to open that to, I'm going to start with Dr. Tomi. And while she's doing that, Dr. Ozioma can also get ready if he wants to add one or two things to what Dr. Tomi has to say about that. So over to you, Dr. Tomi.
Hello, everyone. You're welcome again. So based on the question, I wouldn't say rejection means your work lacks novelty. The first thing before you submit your manuscript to any journal is to check the scope of the journal. It's very important because if you submit a work that is not in line in the scope of that journal, that might actually lead to rejection. That's one. But if your work fits well into the scope of the journal, then you can check why your work was rejected. A simple mistake such as grammatical errors in the abstract alone or even in the title might lead to rejection. So it is very important that you take all those simple things seriously. So because when you submit at the point of submission, maybe the chief editor will check if everything is in order. Grammatical errors might, depending on the chief editor or whoever handles the manuscript, might lead to rejection. Another thing, like Dr. Kemi mentioned, is that you need to follow the instructions to author on the journal's website. Because if it is not well followed, maybe you are supposed to use APA references style and use another style. That rejection. So it is very important to check all this instruction. But if your work goes through the review process and is still rejected, then check the reviewer's comments, check it and improve your work based on their comments, and then try to look for another journal that fits in the scope of your work too, and then submit. Don't feel bad that your work is rejected. It happens a lot in research and publishing. Okay, so because of so many reasons, it can be rejected, but improve on your manuscripts and then submit to another journal. Thank you. I'll leave it to another panelist to add more to that.
Yeah, let me rephrase for Dr. Ozioma. Has your work been rejected before? How did you handle it? Was it difficult to take? You can take us through the first time that happened to you. How did you handle it and what did you do? Was the paper accepted later and what did you do? What did you change? Please help us out.
Thank you, everyone. I want to thank Dr. Kemi and Dr. Anujit for doing justice to the topics they presented on. And I think if we had listened to them very well, I think some of these questions should have been addressed. Was addressed by them. So let me say that rejection, like Dr. Tommy just said, is a normal thing when it comes to research. And what I will always say to researchers is keep an open mind. It doesn't mean your work lacks novelty, just keep an open mind. Looking at the scope of the work is very important, like she mentioned, and also going through the, the author's guideline. But then, if your work is still rejected, like I said, keep an open mind, work on it. Let me just share my own experience, like Emmanuel just asked. I had a paper which I was supposed to publish. I thought it was so wonderful. I was so happy to submit it. I felt, oh, the novelty is there, and I submitted. First submission rejected, second submission rejected. In fact, it was rejected 14 times. It was rejected 14 times. But at the time, my supervisor told me, what is wrong with you? You just get the rejection, the next day you're submitting it again. Why not take time and work on it? So I had to sit down. I read all the comments from the reviewers and I put it together and I submitted it, and it was not published in the higher impact factor journal, in a Q1 journal. I was actually targeting the Q3 journal, but after these corrections, I got to a Q1 journal. So what I would say is just keep an open mind, use the comment from the reviewers, work on your manuscript, and I assure you it will be accepted in a better journal. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Ozioma. Wow, we have a lot of questions here. And okay, so that's that about rejection and all that. Someone was asking which reference manager would you suggest as the most suitable? All right, maybe can we quickly provide answer to that from our panelist? I'm going to let Dr. Anujit answer that. Which reference software would you suggest for people or to people?
Yeah, that's a very interesting question. And I will just say whichever is available. First is that, right?
Exactly.
Whichever is easily accessible and which is more comfortable to you. You don't have to worry because when you are sending the article forward, you are generally removing the referencing software from your manuscript. We are making it a text-only file. We don't put our software inbuilt hyperlinks in the manuscript. So just remember that. So whatever the software which is available and free, especially the free one, for example, Mendeley is free, Jotaro is free. So if you are comfortable in using any particular software, use that. Don't worry about that whether it will impact your manuscript or not. Yeah.
All right, that's very clear. So whatever is available and free, depending on, most of them do the same thing anyway. So, and you can download different references on any of the software. So
or I will add a few more lines, like, or which maybe your supervisor may be asking you, or the university is providing you, right? Follow that software, because maybe there are some issues, especially when you're writing a thesis and all. So it's better to follow that guideline.
That's true. So exactly. So pay attention to what your university is saying also. Yeah. So the next question is very interesting, particularly for us who are Nigerians. So I'm going to let Dr. Joshua answer, or let him answer this. The question says, can you please give insight to postgraduates and researchers, particularly in Nigeria, on the negative impact of put my name practices in publishing? It's not unique to Nigeria anyway, but it's something we see if someone just comes from somewhere and say, please put my name. So how does that affect our research negatively? So over to you, sir.
All right. When we talk about the impact of what you just said, which is put my name syndrome, we look at it in different ways. Okay, so if there can be benefits of that. For instance, if you're putting someone who is a well-published author in that discipline, right? Sometimes you have a manuscript and you have maybe a professor or someone who is an authority in that discipline, who is in your part of your faculty. You might put their name. Now, not just put their name, it's better to have them review the work for you, and that can get you easily published, because as we know, editors of journals sometimes, even though it's blind review, the reviewers might not see the name, but the editors might see them. I mean, we'll definitely see the names and know, okay, this person is an authority in this field, and that will give it a little bit of favor to pass through, not to be desk rejected, to pass through the review process. However, as we know that in academics also, everybody wants to get published. So it's possible that you have a lot of people on a single paper. I don't think that's very professional if you do not contribute. And most times the journal will ask you, what is the author's contribution, right? Exactly. So that means you'll be lying. You'll be saying this person contributed this, and that's not professional. That's part of the problems in the research world. So I would say the effects, really, it can be good if the person is an authority in that field, but it can also be bad for the academic, the research field in the long run if they do not contribute, but just put their names just to for them to have academic ranking or something.
All right. Thank you for that. So that's interesting. So that's it's a two-edged sword.
Sorry,
Yeah.
can I say something on this? Put my name on. Because I know the angle from where the question is coming from.
Okay.
The put my name syndrome is always when you don't even know the title of the paper.
Exactly.
You don't even know anything about the paper. It's not even in your field, maybe. But you just, oh, there's a paper I want to submit. I put my name, put my name, put my name. They just include your name, and at the end of the day, your name is there in the paper, but you don't understand anything. Like Joshua rightly said, it is against the publication ethics. If you have not contributed to the paper, you have no business being in that paper. So put my name, like you tagged it, put my name. It sounds funny, but even like Emmanuel mentioned, it's not in Nigeria only. Even if you work, sometimes professionals do it too, especially in the hospital. Doctors just get their name into a work, and all the whole doctors in the hospital are into one manuscript, and you wonder what have they done. Maybe it's just a very small work. It's not professional at all, and it can actually get you into problem because you don't know what was published there, and you should be, for any work you publish, you should take responsibility as the author of the work. So if your name is in the work, you don't know what it talks about, then you've created that window that anything this work is about, or whatever is, because the work is going to say all the authors have read it and they've accepted to publish it. There's no conflict of interest. So if somebody comes tomorrow and says, this is your work plagiarized my work, or this is your work presented my results, now you as the author, you cannot say, I don't know about it. No, you know about it because already you say you've read it and you've approved of it, and you put your name in it. Yeah, your name is in it. So whatever problem that is coming from that, put my name, you should be ready to bear responsibility. Yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah, I will also jump in. Actually, sorry, I know there's time is limited and there are so many questions, so I will be very fast in it because it's a very interesting topic, a very interesting question, right? So I will say one more thing, that yes, you should be responsible for it. If your name is there, you can be, maybe benefited and may lose few things. And one more thing, there can be many names. It's not a big deal, provided everyone should contribute, right? If somebody is putting their efforts, giving you some ideas, that is ethically right to put their name. But otherwise, I know under pressure, sometimes you have to, but that's not a good practice anyhow. Yeah.
All right. So take that home. Make up your mind that you will not be a put my name researcher. You'd rather ask and say, oh, you're doing, is there something I can do? Oh, it's okay to let people know, oh, you've done this and I could also do this, or it will make this paper better. Rather than just saying, put my name, bring something to the table also. So there are a lot of questions here. Someone said, can you demonstrate how to use Mendeley for plagiarism aside from referencing? I'm not sure Mendeley is used for that. I don't know. Can someone help us with that? I don't think Mendeley is used to check a plagiarism.
Yeah, I agree with you. Actually,
Mendeley is just outrightly a referencing software, so it's not used for plagiarism. Someone said, are there techniques to reduce plagiarism? I'm going to let us just do about 2 minutes on this question. Dr. Anuchit, since you're on, just handle that. How techniques to reduce plagiarism. I know it's a big deal, especially when you don't have access to a lot of research materials or papers. So how do you handle plagiarism? How do you reduce it?
To be honest, just write the things on your own. Whatever comes to your mind, write it after reading. Don't copy paste. And I'm very sure, I can promise you, there will be no plagiarism. The plagiarism will be there only if you are just copy and pasting over there over and over, and you won't know where to differentiate. That's the beginning of plagiarism. And if you want to reduce it, somebody already replied actually in the chat, try to rephrase it, try to change it, try to create your own sentence after reading, right? We all take things up from here and there, but just don't put them over there and just forget about it. If you do that, you are done, because the softwares are very smarter than us.
Yeah, thank you. So just do it yourself. Read and write it yourself. So the next question here says, can you please expatiate more on Q1 and Q2 papers? How can one check where a paper falls? I think Dr. Anujit mentioned that. I can just quickly from his slide. Q1 paper, just like in statistics, first quartile, second quartile, and all that. So the top 25% papers are the Q1 papers. They are more visible, much more cited and all that. Then the Q2 is just like the median from 25 to 50, and then down to Q4. So we have Q3, and then we have the Q4, that's from 75% to 100. And How can you check that? There are a number of places where you can check that. You can check that on Clarivate Analytics. I'm not sure that is available publicly. Well, you can also check that through, there are a number of places where you can check journal metrics, JCR and all that. You can just do a simple Google search also. Sometimes I just type on Google and say, what is the impact factor of this journal? Or what is the Q classification of this journal? And you may be able to, Google is a very powerful tool. Just type and you will get your answer. So then there's another question that is.
Can I quickly add to that?
Okay, please go ahead.
Yeah, one other place you can search is the SGR, Simago Journal Ranking. So if you type Simago Journal Ranking on Google, it will bring you to the page, and it's free. So you just put the title of the journal name, and then it will bring out the details, and then if you scroll down, you see the quartile it is. But that's for Scopus database. That is, we have different databases. Okay, for Scopus, the journal may be in Q1, depending on which one your university is using. Some using Australian database. Some use the Clarivate ISI or Scopus, depending. But one popular way to check is to use the Simago journal ranking or Scopus database.
All right, thank you, sir. A quick question here for Dr. Tomi. If my manuscript is rejected, can I publish in that same journal after making corrections? Dr. Tomi Adetunji.
Of course, please. You can give that a try. Actually, I know someone that actually got a manuscript rejected and a very good journal. So she improved on the comment, and maybe after some time, after improving on the comment, she tried to submit it back and it was accepted. So it's possible. It's very, very possible. Just make sure that you have improved on the comments from the reviewers.
Yeah,
all right.
I will suggest write all the comments, improve all the comments, and write a cover letter and request the editor, take the permission from the editor and tell them that it was rejected. And hopefully if all the comments are very well reviewed and are replied, the editor will allow it to go under review again, for sure. Yeah.
All right. Yeah, thank you for that. Okay, this is another interesting question about writing. Are there techniques to reducing writing time such that the manuscript is still of high quality? Dr. Ozioma, any techniques?
Wow, techniques to reducing writing time. Yeah, well, I will say that writing requires time. Yeah. If you want to do a good work, you should invest your time. And one other thing I have to say is that in writing and publishing, you shouldn't be in a haste. So take your time, write your work. The only techniques to reducing writing time is mainly using the referencing tools, which will help you instead of manually editing your references. You can just easily click a button and your references are there. So it helps you a lot to reduce your writing time. And also when you say writing time, we all have different efficiency when it comes to writing. So that also plays. And if you have the basic knowledge and you've read in depth into the work you want to publish, then you can just go straight and write what you already know. The introduction is just like previous articles and how it relates to the work you want to publish. So you just put it in there. And then when you come, the only place I think take a lot of time is the discussion on your results, because you want to do a lot of work there to be able to explain to us what you've done. So, and that is where you have to spend time. I wouldn't advise to be in a hurry. In fact, I wouldn't say reduce your writing time. I would say take all the time you have and do a good work. Thank you.
All right, thank you for that. Dr. Anuja, do you want to say something about that?
Yeah, quickly, I will just say, see, it is a time-taking process, as Dr. Ozioma told you, right? It takes time because you have to put all your efforts, all your discussion and everything. But I will suggest just start writing tits and bits. whatever you are doing for, especially for method and discussion, all the chemicals which you are doing, all the instruments you are doing, because it takes a lot of time. They are small things, and if you're not putting them, your paper is supposed to get rejected or maybe commented on, right? So try to write all the basic things whenever you're doing it. Whenever you get time, just write the materials and methods. Whenever you get time, you can write the experimental section. You can improve it later on, right? And sometimes we also forget it and we do not write all the parts. So if you write these tits and bits here and there and combine them, and then try to revise over, complete the work, do all the analysis, and then write, that will be much faster. Yeah, thank you.
All right, so that's a very succinct response. All right, so is it true? This is an interesting question. Is it true that a PhD student can publish his or her articles on his own without including the supervisor? This is a case where the supervisor hasn't made much contributions to the work, only bearing the title of a supervisor. So can a PhD student say, because my supervisor did not do anything, I'm going to publish and not put his name there? Let's have Joshua answer that for us, and then I will go to Dr. Tomi also on that. It's an interesting question. Please go ahead.
All right. I think that would be very difficult. I don't think it's possible. Personally, I don't think it's possible because first of all, your supervisor has supervised your work. Even if she has done minimal work. Now, we sometimes have we might have problem with our supervisors sometimes that they don't get a chance to read our work. But the fact, I don't think the university will allow it. It may spell problem for the PhD student to even graduate. Like, how can you publish your work without putting your supervisor? Some universities require that maybe not a written rule, but a spoken rule or the norm that the supervisor is the corresponding author. You may be the first author and your supervisor is the corresponding author, right? So if you go against the rule, you still need your supervisor to be able to graduate. I wonder how you'll be able to graduate like that. So even if the supervisor has not contributed much, but first of all, when choosing a supervisor, the person has authority in that field. So in a way, the person know about your work, right? The best is, of course, when you want to submit, they will ask if all authors have read. Try and make sure that your supervisor has read your work. Now, sometimes your supervisor don't allow you to submit on your own, your research work. If you have worked in someone's lab, right, for science, for those in science, so you've worked in my lab as a supervisor, and then you publish the work without my knowledge, and that's going to be trouble. Like, it's going to be a serious case. So I don't think that's possible. But if you've graduated and maybe you're publishing an excerpt, a part of your work that you've worked on while in your PhD, then maybe, just maybe, you might do that.
Okay, so while you were talking, I got some kind of feedback. Someone doesn't agree with you. But before I let that person talk, Dr. Tomi, do you have anything to say about that?
I totally agree with Dr. Joshua. It's actually wrong. Your supervisor accepted you as a PhD student, and for maybe lab-based work, you use his chemical, his lab, and even if he has not really read your article like that, it's enough as for the fact that he is your supervisor. That enough is sufficient for him to be included in the publication. So I wouldn't advise anyone to do that. It's wrong.
Yeah.
Well, let's hear from others.
Okay,
Yeah.
Dr. Ozioma says he doesn't agree. So let's have your point of view. What do you think?
Yeah, thank you very much, Emmanuel. Thank you, Joshua and Dr. Tomi, for your response. I said I don't agree. That does not mean that what they said is wrong. No. You publishing your work without your supervisor might spell doom for you in your research work. But the truth is that you as a PhD student has the ownership of your work. You have the ownership of your work. Why I said I don't agree is that I had this issue as the president of international students, where a supervisor and a student had an issue on their manuscript. First of all, you should be the corresponding author of your work and the first author of your work. You should do the submission yourself. It's part of the learning process. But most supervisors take it to themselves that they should be the corresponding author and they should be the one submitting the work from their account. In my own lab, the norm was that you submit, but through my supervisor's account. So she gives you her password and every time you submit it yourself. So I think the PhD student has a right on his work. But like they rightly said, if you've used somebody's chemical, worked in his lab, I don't know how you now judge that this person did not contribute. That is where it comes in. So you must have to draw the line on this person did not contribute. If you say I didn't contribute, maybe if you are working in maybe in social science or you're working in literature and you wrote your poem or whatever you wrote and this man didn't go through it, you can submit your work. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. But also you make sure there is no conflict of interest, So that is what I think. But if it's for sciences, I think it's very difficult for you to draw a line and say my supervisor did not contribute to my work. Even the space where you worked is his. So that's enough contribution. Even if he didn't go through your paper, he has contributed. So that's my own view. Thank you.
Yeah, without your supervisor, you are not a student. So is your doorway to, I mean, if you get an admission into a university and no person is willing to supervise you, even when you have a scholarship, yeah, then you're not ready to start. You need a supervisor to be a PhD student. So that's very important. And we need to be wise with that. We have a lot of questions and I hope I have your permission to go ahead so that I want to be sure that everybody is still okay. So now the next question is saying that can citing old papers that are outdated due to limited number of related works lead to rejection of a paper? Can citing, when you cite old papers that are outdated due to you think there are limited work in that area, can that cause a paper to be rejected? I'm kind of going to throw this open. I don't know who to throw it to. So who wants to go first? And please, panelists, let's be a little faster with our responses. Dr. Anuchit, do you want to go first?
Yeah.
Okay, please.
Yeah, I think it should not be a basis of rejection for that. If there are less articles on that particular area, they will be the gold standard, provided they are in a reputed journal. If the journals are not good, like you cannot verify the work presented over there because there are some journals which the work we cannot verify. So if it is like that, that's a different case. Otherwise, those old papers or few papers are the gold journals, gold standards of that work. Yeah, thank you.
All right, so that's clear. So shouldn't be a problem. That's what they said. As long as, if you can verify, right? Is that what you're saying? If you can prove that that is all you have, as far as that research area is concerned. But I think they will also be interested in what are you bringing in? I mean, this is old. The body of knowledge in this area is old. So are you also repeating what is old? Or you're bringing in something new? What is your dimension? So if you're citing a 1980 paper and we are doing exactly what has been done in 1980, might not even pass the editor's desk.
I will put some more addition, like when you put it in that way, that publish in that journal, like citing it, that's a different aspect because it has to be innovative, right? So you have to take care of that. Yeah, you are muted, I guess. I don't know, Manuel.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah, now we can.
All right. So which is preferable when considering a journal to publish in, quartile ranking or impact factor? I'm going to throw this to Dr. Iola. Please answer that quickly. Which would you consider, which is best when you are thinking about where to publish, the quartile ranking or the impact factor? That's an interesting question.
Yeah, it's very interesting and it's quite controversial. But for me personally, I'll go for the quarter ranking first. Quarter ranking will come first for me, and the later on I can be considering impact factor of the journal. This is because I've seen some journals that they've been in top 10% and their impact factors are less than 10. Like their impact factor are just like 3, 4, and I've seen some like 6, 7, and they are like top 20% or something. So the journal ranking will come first for me, if that makes sense, the top 10%. And also I'll go for Q1. Of course, most of those ones in top 10% are in Q1. And I think impact factor will come second for me. But maybe if I'm well achieved, have like hundreds of publication, then I may be thinking about I need 20.0, 25.0, but I think for now, the journal ranking is the first choice for me.
All right, so I think that depends on your situation, right? On your situation and what you're looking to achieve with that paper. I mean, there are situations where sometimes just getting a paper into Q3 might be the best for you, especially when you need to graduate and get out of the place. So it's situational. All right, so moving on. Okay, someone is asking on the presentation, is there any way I can get a soft copy of today's presentation? I will not respond to that for now. Before the end of the webinar, I will let you know. How can we get funding for journal article charges, especially from Africa? Are there any free Q1 journal? Dr. Tommy, can you help us with that? Funding
Yes.
for, okay, please go ahead.
Okay, for funding, well, one thing is to write to the editor and request for waivers and explain the situation of things in the country to them. Of course, they also provide funding for countries in maybe low and middle income countries in that category. So just write a motivation, you can get through with that. And then another thing is there are Q1 journals that are actually free, but your work must also be up to standard. Okay, yeah.
All right, so that's it. From Dr. Wolabi's presentation, I want to know if it's proper to. Okay, please go ahead.
Yeah, sorry, I was going to add this, that research is also collaboration. There's this recent publication of My Frontiers in Oncology. I knew I will not be able to fund that. My university will not be able to fund it. So what I did was to collaborate with a professor that I know he has what's called research fund for APC. And he actually contributed, not just, okay, I want you to pay. No, he contributed, he wrote the conclusion, and also he reviewed the manuscript. So that's another way to get your paper published in good journals with APC. So collaborate with people that are in that field and can also help with publication payments, yeah, the APC.
Yeah, thank you, Dario. Please go ahead.
Yeah, sorry. I want to believe the panelists will also agree to this. For some journals, you can actually have some kind of discounts coming from a developing countries. So you are also entitled to that. So read their APC guideline, and then sometimes you are entitled to it, because I know for MPI journals, sometimes you get some kind of discount. You can get like 50%, 70%, even up to 100%, depending on how the citation of some of the authors. So you can look at that option in addition to what everybody said. So thank you.
Yeah. So what Dr. Tommy said just brought something to my mind now. You know, research, we need to just learn to spread our tentacles. There is a student in a lab who came to do a master's, and when the person learned I was from Nigeria, he said, my project, the plants I'm working on are from Nigeria. I said, he said they did animal studies and all those things in Nigeria, the things they could do, and they found that the extracts were active, and the person just reached out to the person who happens to be my supervisor here and say, can you please isolate compounds from this extract in your lab? And then they sent it all the way to Australia. Papers have been published now, new compounds, everything. So, I mean, use your email, Google, write us if you have something interesting. the chances are there that you will find someone who is willing to go all the way with you and fund the project, whether writing or even the project itself. Anyway, someone says, I want to know if it's proper to use the same topic title of an original article for a review paper too. Dr. Oz, quickly.
Thank you. I don't think it is proper. And I don't also see, because when you're writing the original article, your original article title and what it should be in review don't sound alike. They don't sound alike. So I don't think it is proper.
Yeah. So maybe in future we will have time to talk about details, what a review paper is and what an original article is. I mean, a review paper, you are probably bringing 100, 150 papers together to present your own thoughts to the research environment. So there are two different things. You're not just, and there's another question on review also. Can I review an article and publish it? You can't review just one paper. I mean, I'm writing a review currently, and I was telling my supervisor that this field, I don't know much about it. There was a paragraph, I read close to 30 papers before I came up with that paragraph. So you can't just review a single article and publish. So I'm just going to get closing thoughts from panelists. If there's something you wanted to say you couldn't say, 1 minute each. Dr. Tomi, are you ready?
Well, what I've learned over time in research and publishing is collaboration. Very, very important, especially after your PhD. You can't do things alone. If not, for example, if you have a target, for example, I want to publish maybe 5 to 10 papers per year, and you want to do that by yourself, no, it's not possible. It's possible, well, if you have the capacity, but research collaboration is what is key now to whatever you're doing. Collaborate, join ResearchGate and other apps or websites where you can meet with people and discuss ideas. You can also see what they are doing and ask them, oh, I'm available for collaboration. I can. So research collaboration for me now is very, very important. Thank you.
Yeah, that's very key. And the names you can see here, feel free, go on Google Scholar, type them in. Their emails are there. Email them. If there's something interesting, they are happy to reply and help out. So please feel free. And it doesn't apply to them also, anybody in the world. I mean, if you're a researcher, everything is out there, all your professional stuff. So you can always reach out to people. Next person, who is the next person on the, Dr. Anujit, 1 minute, your closing remarks.
Yeah, it's a very, important question, how to write, how to publish. So I think keep on reading, keep on listening, and keep on discussing, as Dr. Tomi said, that you need to collaborate, right? And you need to participate in active discussion, email them, LinkedIn, ResearchGate. And there are so many free journals. You don't have to pay for each journal. As somebody asked that, are there any free Q1 journals? There are. So you don't have to worry and pay every time, but find the right topic of research, get motivated, and go ahead with it. Thank you.
All right, Dr. Ozioma.
Just to add to what Dr. Tomi and Dr. Anujit had already said, I would say that research and publication is not just a walkover. So it is something you should be prepared for. It's something you should invest your time in as much as you can. Like Dr. Anujit mentioned earlier, while you're doing your experiment, just be jotting things down, your materials, your method. That will help you fast-track your writing. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. All right, Joshua Lainka, please, your closing remark.
All right. So there's something I wanted to respond to before, but because two other people have responded, so I think someone asked about how to make writing faster. We have said that writing takes time, but first thing, I think you should understand your style. Some people, for instance, in management sciences, you want to first outline what you're writing first, like it's possible to put outline on all the paragraphs you write before you start writing. That may help you. And collaboration, as has been said before, you don't have to write everything, right? When you collaborate with somebody that can also write. If you have goals, like Dr. Tommy said, 10 papers, if you collaborate with 5 people, you may be able to achieve that. But everybody will split their writing. That can help you. And then on a final note is that publication is not easy at the beginning, right? You may find it difficult the first time, but once you start publishing and writing, it gets better. So don't be discouraged the first time you publish and or the few times you've published and you get rejected or it's too slow. Just keep at it.
All right, thank you so much. Indeed, it has been a very impactful webinar. I believe we have all learned a lot. Please, if you've published, it's been rejected, keep plugging in, keep at it. Go to the paper again, give it your best, apply what you have learned today. Feel free to check our website, check us out on LinkedIn, Facebook. You stopped sharing. I wanted to, just the Ed Research Hub on Facebook, on LinkedIn, and all that. You on Twitter, and then you're free to ask questions and all that. We are always happy to help. And please let us know if there's something you want us to do going forward. If there is a webinar or if there are questions you would like us to answer, feel free to drop us a chat, a message on any of our social media platform. We'll be willing to help. We also have a mentorship program. Check out our website. There are a lot of things you can benefit from that you can use to your advantage. And interestingly, there are a lot of things that we can also benefit from you also. So that's the beautiful thing about our research. So thank you for coming today. There are questions about the slide. Let me quickly verify the availability. Slides, that's someone's intellectual property. So that's something you have to be conscious of when it comes to academics and research also. So Dr. Yola, can you say something with respect to that? Is there any way we can make the slides and all that available going forward?
Yeah, so I just asked the research and training coordinator, and he said he will get back. He will share the slides via email to every one of us later on. So if you registered through using your email, you will get the materials, the PowerPoint slides we used today. But if you did not register, probably you just signed in using the Zoom link or the meeting ID, please drop your email address here and we'll get back to you.
All right, so before you leave, you can quickly drop your email address. If we don't have that, if you don't want it going public, you can send it as a private chat to the host and we'll get back to you on that. So thank you, everybody.